17-14 last night. Greenwood 42-41 winners in overtime over Dorman. It's Hillcrest coming up with a 55-16 win over Greer. J.O. Mann falls to Daniel 31-14. Malden and Mountain End, they went back and forth all night. Shout out to Jersey Joe. He was sending me text updates all night.
And he gets another shout out. He let me know that I didn't have the right channel turned up right here. There was no audio on the stream. So he didn't hear the first 2 minutes of the show.
Start over. The whole 2 minutes all over.
Refire the intro. Yeah. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Shout out to Jersey Joe, who was giving me the text updates all night.
You should have audio on the stream.
Fountain Inn.
What a good game that was.
Yeah, that was a good game. Malden 21-16 winners over Fountain Inn. Back and forth all night, it seemed like. TL Hanna 49-20 winners over Westside.
What, repeat that? Did you? TL Hanna? I mean,
TL Hanna 49-20 winners
we got
over
that
Westside.
One wrong,
yeah.
Wow.
We got a lot
wrong.
Cool. We'll get to it.
maybe not.
Woodmont 28-21 over Pendleton. It's Boiling Springs blanking Chapman last night, 56-0 the final in that game. Christchurch 37-35 winners over Riverside on a last-second field goal.
By the way, field goal last night from Ryan Von Will.
Okay.
How about that?
Ryan Von Will.
Shout out Ryan.
What a name. That's a
great name.
A great
and
name.
A great kick.
Yeah. It is Spartanburg, a 50-7 winner over Broome. Woodruff gets a 50-22 win over Emerald. You know, you texted me at one point in that game, Emerald was up 22-0.
Oh, I know. They were showing it on the screen at Dorman.
Yeah.
Like the scores. And I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. I didn't think it was right. But Woodruff came back
50 unanswered points by Woodruff.
I guess Woodruff just turned the switch on, right? But
they decided to get off the bus and play.
That one, I was in shock seeing that score.
BHP a 43-10 win over Lawrence. It's Dixie 41-14 over Southside. Powdersville and Wren went down to the wire. Powdersville a 33-29 winner over Wren. It's Carolina a 21-6 winner over Berea. Blue Ridge at home last night against Polk County out of North Carolina, a 35-19 win for the Blue Ridge Tigers. Liberty 42-17 winners over Pickens. It's Seneca 47-0 over West Oak. Travelers Rest 35-0 over Palmetto. Chesney 33-6 defeating Walhalla. AC Flora out of the Midlands gets a 41-6 win over Southside Christian. Mountain View Prep in their first home game of the season up at North Greenville gets a 66-27 win over St. Joe's. It's York a 27-20 winner over Union County. Chase out of North Carolina gets a 28-20 win over Blacksburg. Newberry and Clinton 41-12. Newberry beats Clinton last night. Ware Shoals 20-12 over Landrum, and Abbeville 23-15 over Batesburg-Leesville.
As I said, there's no lines on high school games, but there would have been some massive upsets.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, Clinton falling. Newberry's a good team, but who saw that coming? I mean, who saw?
Neither of us. Clearly.
And I'll tell you, I also, during the Dorman game last night, you realize that Union County led York during that game?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I looked at the score. I couldn't believe it. I mean, who thought that game would be close, right?
Yeah.
Union County plays York really good last night. So those are your scores from week 2.
Week 2.
Now we're at week 3, game 4.
Is
that how it works?
3, game 4.
Week 3, game 4. So a lot to get to this morning, as you just heard the scores there from Alex Guest. I'm Cole Bryce, and again, we are live this morning at Ingalls. Where at? It's the west side of Spartanburg, 8004 Warren H. Abernathy Highway. It is the west side Ingalls location in Spartanburg. Again, we're going to be joined by Scoot Watson of Greenville this morning, Quinn Hatfield of Christchurch, a massive win for Christchurch last night. Aiden Gibson, one of the standout players for Woodruff at 8:45. We'll talk to Jackson Free, quarterback of the Hillcrest Rams, at 9:05. But, man, I mean, throw a dart at your dartboard, Alex Guest. Where do you start in terms of the games that we got wrong? I guess we should start there because we got a lot of them wrong last night. I think we went 20 – what was our record from last night?
18-10 last night. We were both 18-10.
So a lot of losing last night.
Yeah.
And that is not great.
No.
That's not great. I'm now 57-25 on the season. You're now 57-27 on the season, pretty much neck and neck. But, man, what a surprise. I'm going to ask you the question I always do. What game stood out to you the most last night? I mean, there were a lot. We had 10, like you said, that we got wrong ultimately. Of those 10, I've got a couple circled, Alex, in terms of which one surprised me. And I'd probably start with Riverside Christ Church. I mean, Riverside, what do we make of them? At some point in the season, you are who you are. You are who you are. But with Riverside, they had a good win to open the season.
Yeah.
Right? Am I right on that?
Yeah, they beat Malden,
and then now have lost
41-27.
Now have lost 2 in a row to Greenville and Christchurch last night. Gideon Merritt, we know he was the Fan Upstate Player of the Week for week 0. Really good quarterback. They've got a lot of weapons. I just don't know right now what to make exactly of Riverside. Christchurch, they have dudes as well. We're going to talk to Quinn Hatfield about the game, but that one surprised me last night.
Yeah, that one surprised me, Cole. I think as I'm kind of compiling the scores last night after all the games are done, that one stuck out to me. And really the other big one that stuck out to me was the one we just talked about previously, was the Newberry-Clinton game. Everything else wasn't a whole lot of surprise. I mean, obviously, we've mentioned it. If there were betting lines on high school football games, there were a lot of people that lost money last night.
Did it surprise you that Greenwood beat Dorman? I picked Dorman. I thought it'd be Dorman in a close win.
Yeah, I thought it'd be close. I didn't think that one would be as much of a shootout as it was.
It was. It really was. It's a good game, by the way. I was there. We'll talk about that one in depth.
Yeah.
Didn't surprise you that Greenville beat Gaffney last night? I mean, it's a yes or no question.
That surprised me. But yeah, it surprised me. Yeah,
that's a good answer.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
How about Fountain Inn Malden last night for a surprise? You picked Malden. I picked Fountain Inn. Sam Holliday, really good quarterback for Fountain Inn, Alex. They had a drive. I think it was pretty late in the game where Sam Holliday made an incredible pass, kind of on a seam route right down the middle, and just in and out of the receiver's hands. It was a big drive. Fountain Inn comes up short last night. All of a sudden, look at Malden.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, look at this Malden team. 2-1 to start the season with a win. With the wins, by the way, over Bowling Springs and Fountain Inn.
Yeah.
Not bad wins.
Not bad wins at all. Yeah.
So shout out to Coach Andre Cook on that. Big wins. Westside following the TL Hannah. No surprise there. I mean, you kidding me? Electric City rivalry last night.
Well, you and I both picked Westside, and I definitely thought that, after seeing the little bit of the Burns TL Hannah game at the beginning of the season, and then just Westside coming off of the big loss to the team in Alabama in week 0.
That's right. They were 0-2.
And then they were 0-1. They had a week 1 bye last week.
Yeah.
That was kind of, in my mind, I thought Westside coming off the big loss to the team in Alabama being madder than a hornet in a tin can, and then and TL Hannah just came up with a big win last night.
I mean, a huge win. How about Jason Tone and those guys getting it done? Ran over Powdersville. I had a buddy who was there at the game last night, Alex, texting me updates. That one came down to the wire. You mentioned the score there.
33-29.
Unbelievable. We were in Powdersville a couple of weeks ago and talked about that with Anthony Freight, the head coach over at Wren. And for them to get that win last night, I mean, Wren all of a sudden, you just beat a Powdersville team who just beat Abbeville. And
Powdersville won.
I'm sorry. I was looking at you and I picked the game wrong.
Sorry.
Powdersville wins last night in a close game over Wren. Robert Muster, we've talked to him several times as well. You started the season, 0-1.
Yep.
Beat Abbeville last week. To be able to beat Wren, that's incredible. Incredible win. I mean, I truly looked at that game as a coin flip game. And you talked about, I think we talked about it last week, how big of a rivalry game that is. I saw some shots on the news last night, packed house.
Yeah.
So you're right. Huge win for Powdersville. I was looking at where we picked the game wrong. I guess I need to change over to this tab, huh? Is that better? Look at this tab instead of that one.
That's better.
Look at the green instead of the red. I don't know what I'm doing with these spreadsheets.
I set these spreadsheets up to make it very simple.
I know, and I still, the spreadsheet still three years now. I still can't figure out a spreadsheet. Is that where we are? So a lot of games to get into. Again, our first guest. 8:30 a.m. We'll be joined by Scoot Watson, the head football coach of Greenville. Let's start there, Alex. You were there last night, Alex, as Greenville upsets Gaffney. And again, we'll get Coach Watson's thoughts in about 15 minutes on the show. Serene Stadium. Gaffney came into that game 1-1, coming off of a win a week ago over J.L. Mann. Defense played really good a week ago. And last night, tell me if I'm wrong here, Banks Boughton came out as the starting quarterback. And you saw more of him than Javon Gilmore, the Arkansas commit. Is that right?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Cole, I think Banks played all but 2 drives the entire night at quarterback. So, but no, I mean Banks came out the first drive of the game, and honestly, Cole, I think this may have just been kind of the mindset changer for Gaffney. The first drive of the game, Gaffney is moving the ball pretty well. Banks throws just an absolute beautiful pass, rainbow pass downfield, and can't remember who called it for Gaffney, but it was a big reception for Gaffney. Got it down inside the 10, close to around the 5-yard line. Gaffney's moving the ball, and that play is called back for a penalty. And it seems like ever since that play, the entire rest of the night, it was all just kind of downhill. Gaffney just seemed like they unraveled a little bit, couldn't get anything else going that drive, ended up having a punt. And the first quarter was just kind of a punt fest. Both teams really trying to fill each other out. A couple of fighters trying to fill each other out. We hear that all the time. And Greenville was able to move down the field into the second quarter, kicked a field goal to go up 3-0 at the half.
Yeah.
So they were up 3-0 at the half. Gaffney comes out third quarter, and it's like a flip switched, and they have 2 very good drives that move downfield. They get into the end zone. Josiah Hill had a 7-yard run for Gaffney.
Hit a good night
touchdown.
Last night.
Yeah. And Banks had a 2-yard run for Gaffney to put Gaffney up 14-3. And at that point, late in the third quarter, it kind of felt like it was in Gaffney's hands. And then fourth quarter, again, it feels like that switch flipped.
Yeah.
And, Gaffney
14 points
couldn't get anything going.
Quarter.
14 points for Greenville in the fourth quarter. And felt like Gaffney couldn't get anything going. And Greenville, couldn't be stopped.
17-14 final score last night. Greenville over Gaffney. Greenville 24 first downs compared to Gaffney's 14 first downs.
Yeah.
And what's weird is, on the ground, Gaffney outrushed Greenville, 175 yards on the ground for Gaffney, 82 on the ground for Greenville. However, through the air was a different story. Net passing yardage last night, Greenville 223 yards through the air, Gaffney 60 yards as a team through the air last night. Don't know when the last time you could say that. Total net offense, Greenville had 305 yards of total offense last night, Alex. Gaffney 235 yards. That was 61 plays from Greenville, 44 for Gaffney. Time of possession has been something that's really hurt the Indians in 2025. They just haven't been on the field as much as they'd like to. And you mentioned Josiah Hill kind of getting the RB1 duties with, RB1 out. And one of the better running backs in the state, and Jaden McDowell. It was a good night for Josiah Hill last night. 18 carries, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a 21-yarder, Alex, you mentioned there. So a really good night from him. Quarterback Banks Boughton on the ground, 10 carries, 73 yards, 10 rushes, if you will. The longest for him was a 23-yarder. So a good night on the ground, but passing-wise, just the bugaboo, I guess, for the Indians in 2025. Not able to get the air attack going under first-year offensive coordinator. Look at this. Javon Gilmore last night, 3 of 3. Banks Boughton, 4 of 8, right? No touchdowns to the air, 36 yards to the air from Banks Boughton, 24 for Javon Gilmore. And you know what? I think the biggest thing is you're just not used to seeing a Gaffney team, go into a game and go into a season consecutive weeks and put up these kind of numbers through the air.
Yeah, no, I mean, last night was a very sloppy game from Gaffney. late in the game, it just seemed like penalty after penalty after penalty was thrown against Gaffney. And, you look at that category last night, and Greenville had 12 flags thrown on them for 75 yards, Gaffney 16 for 127. I mean, when you
Yeah.
have over 120 yards of penalty yards, it's difficult to win a game that way too. But Gaffney just really, there were a lot of moments where they shot themselves in the foot last night. And, you can look back and say, oh, well, you should have gone for it on the 4th and 2 late in the game instead of punting the ball away to Greenville, or you should have done this, or player A should have been the starter at this position, whatever. But here's the thing: you shouldn't put yourself in a position to where you're going to lose the game anyway. So,
and ultimately, you talk about the penalties don't help, obviously, in that game, and then the offensive line. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is if you can't run. If you can't run those guys out there and feel like the quarterback's being protected and have some weapons on the outside that help and aid that quarterback, then it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Now, I will say this: all the credit in the world goes to Greenville. I mean, 14 points in the fourth quarter. You're down 14-3. In that game, you texted me. I mean, it was what? It seemed kind of signed, sealed, delivered there with a few minutes ago. Gaffney was up, 4 points, something like that, 14-10?
Yeah,
right?
7. There were, Greenville scored their last touchdown to go up 17-14 with 23 seconds left.
Yeah.
I think it was like a minute and a half left in the game when Gaffney punted the ball away on that 4th and 2 situation to give the ball back to Greenville, and they pinned Greenville deep. Greenville started that drive at like their own 12 or 15-yard line.
Yeah.
But again, that last drive of the game for Greenville, they just seemed like they could not be stopped. And Gaffney couldn't figure out what to do. And here's the thing, Cole. You got a lot of changes for Gaffney this offseason. We know that. New offensive coordinator, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. It's a completely new defensive scheme than what you've seen in years past.
Yeah.
And so it takes some time to get that figured out.
My concern is at some point you are who you are.
Exactly.
And I hope they can turn it around because, look, there's still a lot of talent on that football team. And again, all the credit in the world goes to Greenville. They, wanted it more right there in the fourth quarter. 14 points in the fourth quarter is just sensational. So hat tip to Greenville, hat tip to Scoot Watson, who will be joined by in about 10 minutes. But we are due for a break. We'll continue the conversation, get into the game I was at. Also, some of the bigger games last night that we have not touched on yet. We'll do so next right here on the Saturday Morning Scramble on the Fan Upstate.
Clear.
Visit skyrizzy.com
Here we go.
or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZY to learn more.
Got a question or comment? Call
Mike
844-FAN.
is hot in 3 seconds.
71307
Mike is hot.
by keyword fan.
This is the Saturday Morning Scramble on the Fan, Upstate.
Continuing the conversation, a lot of big games last night. If you were at a big game or at a game in general, want to hear from you at 844-326-3663 on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. We have Scoot Watson of Greenville joining the show in about 3 minutes right here on the Fan Upstate. Alex, Boiling Springs gets a big win over Chapman last night, 56-0 for a Boiling Springs team with a lot of youth still on offense. Probably a really good confidence booster, even though the opponent was, no disrespect to Chapman, not the same as you'll play in a few weeks. Chapman's down, we know that. I'm sure that for Boiling Springs, trying to find a new identity on offense, a game like last night where you go beat somebody 56-0 does a lot for your confidence.
Yeah, no doubt, Cole. I mean, and you talk about the games that Boiling Springs has won. They're 2-1 right now, going into their bye week, going into region play here in 2 weeks. You got to win over a tough, scrappy Greer team to start the season. You had that loss last week to Riverside that you probably wish you could have got back. Or sorry, not to Riverside, to Malden.
That's right.
That you probably wish you could have gotten back, and then a big 56-0 win last night to kind of give you that confidence boost back before you head into the bye week. And
a lot of teams on bye this week, by the way. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, a lot of, well, you know, when you got those 8-team regions and 7 region games, but you know, I mean, Boiling Springs, they're at Gaffney here in a couple of weeks.
2 weeks
after
from
the bye week.
last night?
2 weeks from last night, the 19th, and
region play, man.
So I mean, Gaffney doing some soul searching right now, figuring out what's next for them and where to go. And Boiling Springs coming into the reservation, probably a little bit obviously Boiling Springs on a little bit higher of a mental state, mental attitude.
But you know, on the flip side of that, Chapman now still looking for their first win of the season. You know, a tough non-region slate for the Panthers. They, for whatever reason, have just been unfortunate, unlucky over the past 2 years with injuries, right?
Yeah.
You talk about losses to Daniel, St. Joe's, and now Boiling Springs to start the season. We said it last week. Every game for Chapman's a big game. Still looking for that first win. Unfortunately, doesn't get any easier anytime soon for Chapman.
Not at all. It does not get easier. They're on the road this next week at Clinton,
who's coming off of a loss. Yeah, by the way, I mean, a great time to play Clinton.
Then Christchurch, then BHP. So you know, Chapman is, and I hate to say this, Cole, but Chapman is looking at possibly being 1-5. 0-6 going into the bye week and into the region play.
Man.
Hopefully not. Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully you get things turned around. But you mentioned it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, you mentioned it. It's difficult to get a team going and in the right direction with the right rhythm when you have the injury bug like Chapman has.
And then the 4 games of region play.
Mountain View, Union, Woodruff, and Broome.
Still tough. I mean, it might not be as tough as what you played in the non-region, but Mountain View's really good. Woodruff's really good. Union County played really good last night against York. And Broome, I mean, they had a tough loss to Spartanburg, but a week ago, Broome maybe had the upset of the week, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's tough. That I feel bad for that staff having to deal with the injuries. I mean, you just talk about. I talked to a couple of assistants, and the way
2 years in a row.
It is, and the way they've just been bitten, man, by that injury bug has really, really hurt them. So, nonetheless, a big win for Boiling Springs, a tough loss for Chapman, and you're talking about a Chapman offense trying to find their identity still. 3 games in, 0 last night. Daniel, obviously, they were able to score a little bit, I believe, but
they got shut out by Daniel and last night by
they didn't score at all against Daniel.
They had the 34 last week at St. Joe's in a 35-34 loss.
2 of the first 3 games still looking for, still without points other than that St. Joe's game that you talked about. So Really tough loss for Chapman. Big win for Bowling Springs last night. A lot of other games to get into as well. We have Aiden Gibson of Woodruff High School joining the show in 15 minutes. But right now, let's talk to Scoot Watson, the head football coach of the Greenville Red Raiders. When Coach keeps winning like he does, he keeps joining the Saturday morning scramble. Another big win last night. Coach, congratulations. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
I mean, do you get any sleep after a win like that over Gaffney, Coach?
Man, got some good sleep, man. Good sleep.
No doubt. I bet you did. Coach, talk about it, man. I mean, we'll get into the details, but what does this do for your team in terms of knowing that you can play with some of the better teams, having that confidence? What do you think last night's win over Gaffney will do for your team the rest of the year?
It's what you just said, man. It it allows the kids to have some confidence. Anytime you're taking over something new, and sometimes the kids don't, they kind of believe, but a lot of them, may have not been 100% believers in terms of what it is that they can do and what they're able to accomplish. So a win like that last night just kind of sparked some life and give those kids a shot of confidence.
No doubt about it. We're joined by Scoot Watson, the head football coach of the Greenville Red Raiders after the 17-14 win over Gaffney at Serene Stadium. Coach, all right, let's get down into it. Fourth quarter comes around last night. Your team's down, 14, or at the time, you had to score 14 points in the fourth quarter. But at the time, you guys in the fourth quarter, when that quarter started, you're down to Gaffney. Gaffney had just scored 14 in the third quarter, and it seemed like that football team had all the momentum. What was your message to your team going into that fourth quarter?
Just stay poised. Just stay poised. We definitely, got onto that defense and kind of, told those guys that we were going to need them late down the stretch. And, we knew we would need a few stops. And we came out the second half, really kind of jittery, I guess, after going up 3-0 in the first half, so, the guys hadn't been in that situation. So, we had to settle them down and, really, talk about poise and, make sure these kids had their nerves in check.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A big win last night, Coach. Now, let's walk through those final moments. You guys score 7 in the fourth quarter. Gaffney still has the lead. They're faced with a decision on a 4th and 2, I believe it was, late in the game. They decide to punt the ball back to you. Walk us through that kind of scenario, what was going on the sideline from the coaching staff standpoint, and what I mean, as a coach, you've got little time remaining. You're at home playing one of the better teams, in the area, and you talk about having to go and put together a game-winning drive that eventually sealed the game. What was the sideline like? What was the environment? What was your message to the team at that point?
Yeah, I mean, the sideline was electric. We told them they took a timeout before that fourth down play, and then came back out and tried to draw us off sides, which left them with one timeout, and I had 2 left in my pocket. We told those guys, hey, watch the ball, be disciplined, and they watched the ball, they called a timeout, punted the ball, and we just went over some 2-minute scenarios, clock management scenarios on Thursday, and our offense did a good job of managing the clock and taking care of that 2-minute, sub 2-minute situation late in the game.
Coach Watson, want to ask you about some of the players last night that made big plays for your team. Talk about, for those that weren't at the game, who are some of those guys that really stood out?
Oh, man, our offensive line, man, LJ Dendy, man, did an awesome job, man, at left tackle. Played left tackle, also rotated in and played defensive tackle for us. Trip Bryant, he started off the game at receiver, and Keyshawn Farrell started off at quarterback, and, we kind of made a switch midway through the third quarter and put Trip back at quarterback, and he did a good job of managing the offense. So those guys really did a good job. Hamp Renfro made a clutch catch down the stretch, and then, of course, Jaden Rice with the game winner, and he was pretty banged up. all week. So he really didn't practice all week, had turf toe, and, kind of pushed through it and, made a huge catch at the end there.
Coach, what kind of decision, like what goes through the decision-making process, I guess? You talked about switching quarterbacks, something that Gaffney was also kind of doing last night and throughout the course of the season as well. What led you guys to believe that you wanted to make that switch, obviously, that paid off for you?
Yeah, just recognizing and understanding who our kids are. All of our quarterbacks, we've got three, pretty solid quarterbacks, but they're all 10th graders. They're 15 years old.
Yeah.
So when you see a kid is, kind of, having some troubles, having some issues with the moment and not having been in that moment before, you don't want to ruin a kid by putting them in that situation and, and then mess up his confidence. So, we made a conscious decision to pull Keyshawn, and that's not to say that Keyshawn was doing a bad job. He just, made a couple bad decisions, had a couple miscues, and you could tell the moment was kind of getting to him a little bit, and we made that switch, similar to what you see managers do in baseball. You can kind of tell when that pitcher's arm is a little shot, or if the moment is getting a little bit too big for them, and they'll make that switch, and it worked out for us last night.
Absolutely. It sounds like it did. Coach, before we let you go, when you talk about the what's to come this season, what were things that you saw last night? We talked about the confidence standpoint, but from an X's and O's standpoint, what happened last night that you feel like you and your staff can kind of store in that folder to use the rest of the season as the season goes on that you think can continue to help you guys be successful?
Yeah, I mean, continuing to be able to, run the football. We didn't run for a ton of yards, but when we needed it, we were able to get 4 and 5 yards, with our little 120-pound running back. So just building on our running game, and we're dinking and dunking the ball down the field. We had a bunch of 10th graders playing receiver last night. We had a lot of guys out hurt. And we're just gonna continue to improve, man, and continue to develop those young kids. We're a very young team, so we're just looking forward to this open week next week, and continue to focus on skill development and getting these guys better, man.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the huge win. As always, we appreciate your time hopping on with us this morning, talking a little high school football, and best of luck to you the rest of the way, Coach.
All right, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Scoot Watson, head football coach of the Greenville Red Raiders, 17-14 win over Gaffney last night. Just it doesn't get much bigger than that for those guys. And he said it, they slept good. It's a big, big win for Greenville. We'll continue the conversation on the other side. We have Aiden Gibson, one of the better players in the Upstate, coming on the show at 8:45. He plays for the Woodruff Wolverines. We'll have him and continue the conversation next right here on the Fan Upstate.
Internet pricing at $20 a monthly bill credit plus $5 line without auto pay. Debit or bank account required. See
Here we go.
coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
No one
Mike will be
covers high
hot
school
in 3
football with the
seconds.
Saturday
Mike is
Morning
hot.
Scramble, only on the Fan Upstate.
So I'm looking up at this TV, Alex, and the headline at the bottom is high school football in Arctic Circle faces frigid weather. I mean, what are we playing football in high school football in Antarctica?
No, it's in Alaska. Have you ever seen that football field? It's
The blue one?
Yeah, the blue one that's literally on like an island in Alaska.
No, why would I
And
have
it's,
seen that?
Well, I don't know. It's
I don't watch Alaskan high school football.
well, I do.
So they can't play because it's too cold. It's like 20-something degrees out there.
I guess, yeah.
That's unbelievable. I mean, it's on like the national weather. I don't know. We're sitting here at Ingalls nonetheless. Ingalls Market's on the west side of Spartanburg, and we would love to see you. We've had, 3 or 4 listeners, Evan, come by already. I don't know. Evan from Promotions is over there politicking with them, I guess,
Yeah,
giving them money.
This is their football field.
Who is they? They have a name?
Barrow.
You just showed me a picture, and it's literally 5 feet from, is that the ocean?
That's the Pacific Ocean.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, maybe move the field a little bit further away from the water.
And that's in Alaska.
That's crazy. That is insane. I've never seen
Yeah.
that before. It's kind of Boise State-ish, right?
It is the northernmost football stadium in the world.
The northernmost football stadium. Like there's no football stadium more north?
There's no football stadium more north than that.
How do you know this stuff? You're smart. You know that?
Well,
really smart.
I know how to work spreadsheets too. So.
I don't. I still think Wren won last night, I guess.
Clearly.
Because of the spreadsheets. But a big win last night. We're going to be joined by Aiden Gibson of Woodruff here in a few minutes. But first, Alex, tell us what Aiden Gibson, one of the better players in the Upstate, what he did last night.
Well, he had 18 carries for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Good.
I mean, not much. And had one.
You're being sarcastic,
Yeah.
by the way.
Had one reception for 33 yards.
Nice.
So, yeah.
He's their playmaker, man.
Yeah.
He's their playmaker. And Woodruff, like that game last night, you mentioned it. What a big win. I mean, was it 23-0 at one time?
22-0.
22-0.
It was 22-0 in the second quarter at one time, and then 22-7 at the half. And 43 points in the second half.
So we were sitting at Dorman
for
Greenwood, Alex, and we were talking to some fans in front of us that were Greenwood fans, and Emerald's right there at Greenwood, and they were telling us, look, I mean, we were surprised by the score when it was 22 whatever to nothing, and those Greenwood fans were saying, look, hey, got athletes just like we do. By the way, we'll get into that Greenwood Dorman game. I mean, you talk about some of the athletes that Greenwood had last night, phenomenal athletes. Emerald just down the road from where they are, not far at all. So really interesting to see. Speaking of Emerald Woodruff, let's go to the phone lines where we're joined by Aiden Gibson, one of the star players for the Woodruff Wolverines, the big win last night for Woodruff. Aiden, how are you, man?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Appreciate you hopping on with us a little bit this morning. I want to talk about last night's big win, Aiden, 50-22 over Emerald. We were just talking about it. You guys at one point were down 22-0, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So walk us through it from a player standpoint. What was the message from Coach Sloan, coaching staff? At that point, obviously, you guys went on to score 50 points. But when you're down 22-0, does your hope and your faith that you can win that game waver at all? Talk us through that a little bit.
Really what we do is before that, my coach told us to just believe and just have faith. That's what we do as a team, and we knew that there was going to be a long game because we weren't going to give up no matter what. During that game when we weren't losing, some of us got down, but we picked each other up, started filling each other up to know that the game is still here. We got 3-4 more quarters to play, and that we still got to play ball. And at the end of the day, I trusted the guys, and they trusted me, and we competed.
A 2-touchdown night last night for Aiden Gibson, who you're hearing from right now on the Saturday morning scramble on the Fan Upstate in their 50-22 win. You talked about not giving up, having that belief. Aiden, what was it that Emerald did in your mind out of the gate? I know you don't play defense, so you're on the offense side of things, but you guys were struggling to move the ball a little bit in that first quarter. What was it that they were doing in your mind that allowed them to be so successful?
They were competing really hard. Their goal was to take me and Corey out the game, to know that we are the people that's gonna get the ball and score, and they tried to take us out the game. My offensive line, second half, they blocked their butt out to where me and my other running backs could run the ball, and Corey, we got other players like Corey, Cam that competed, and they really just tried to. Their defensive line was really good. They tried to stop us from running the ball, throwing the ball, and everything. And at the end of the day, that second half, we just competed.
And then, Aiden, when that switch flipped and you guys went on to score 50, what was it at that moment? You talked about Emerald trying to keep you guys down, especially you and a couple other key players, and out of the game. What was it when that switch did flip? It kind of seemed like once that switch did flip, it was on from then, right?
Yes, sir. Definitely. But basically what we did was we just built off each other. Defense depended on the offense. Offense depended on the defense. We had momentum after we scored a few times, and it was up from there. We worked really hard, but I think better as a team that we just need to start a little bit faster.
Aiden, you're playing a little bit of a wide receiver this year too as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a preference? I mean, do you like going out as a wide out some as well?
Yeah, man. When I was in the ninth grade coming up to varsity, I thought I was gonna be able to play receiver. They moved me to running back, and that's how everything started. But I love going out there, man, just to, because that's something that I always was. And as a receiver, some things are a little different at running back, but I really like just going out there and line up at receiver. Just know that I'm all around back.
No doubt, it helps. Do you feel like at receiver it's a challenge for you? I mean, you've been playing running back for a long time. Do you feel like it's something new that excites you a little bit, something you're not used to?
I wouldn't say. Well, yeah, it excites me every time I go out there.
Sure.
I don't think it's really a challenge. I practice on my craft a lot. The way I come off the ball, the way when somebody's pressed up on me, I know what to do and everything like that. So it's really exciting just going out there and knowing every time I get out there, I'm gonna compete my butt off. So.
Aiden, this Woodruff team, man, has got some potential in 2025, a really good football team. What are your team goals? What's been the message from the coaching staff just in terms of what you guys have the potential to do this season?
Yes, sir. Basically what we do, that key word right there is potential. We got a lot to prove, and we're going to keep working. Everybody tells us that we got potential to do this and that, but we got to keep showing that what we're going to do is just compete. We got a 24-hour world. Win or lose, we flush in and it's on to the next game. And I think that we can do some great things this year, but if we keep everybody dialed in and focus on the prize, I think, and the coaches just believing in us and we believing in the coaches that have faith as a team, I think that we're going to be great.
Aiden, you mentioned, and we mentioned a 2-touchdown night for you last night. Who are some of the other guys around you that also were heavily involved in this offense?
The offensive line, they blocked their butt off. Connor Davis scored one. Jalen Lyles, the second running back, came in and scored when I couldn't go in. Corey Moats, he scored twice. Cam had some big plays for us down the field. Him blocking his butt off for me and the other running backs. Caden Barnaby, he played really great. We was great on special teams, great on defense after that second half. And just once we start putting everything together and starting off really fast, I think this is what we're going to take off for some people. So,
yeah. Aiden, congratulations on the win last night, man. We appreciate you waking up early, spending a little time with us this morning. Best of luck the rest of the year, and
yes,
go
sir.
Get them.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Aiden Gibson, you heard him right here on the Fan Upstate, running back for Woodruff. An incredible performance, Alex, but also pretty incredible on the radio as well. I mean, we need to have that guy on more often. It was really good.
One of the better player interviews we've had.
No doubt. Congratulations to Woodruff. Before we run to a break, let's run through. I know we have a lot of people just tuning in to the show for the first time. Let's hit scores one more time. I know we're pretty packed up in the front of hour number 2 with some guests and callers and things like that. But let's go ahead and run through one more time, Alex Guest, for the new audience. Scores from around the area last night.
Yeah, real quick scores. Easily a 35-21 win over Wade Hampton last night. Greenville defeated Gaffney 17-14. Greenwood a 42-41 winner over Dorman in overtime. Hillcrest 55-16 winners over Greer. J.O. Mam falls on the road 31-14 to Daniel. Malden got a big win 21-16 over Fountain Inn last night. TL Hanna 49-20 winners over Westside. Woodmont a 28-21 win at Pendleton. Boiling Springs defeats Chapman 56-0. Christchurch a last-second field goal over Riverside 37-35 winners over the Warriors of Riverside. Spartanburg 50-7 winners over Broome. Woodruff, we just heard, got a big win 50-22 over Emerald. Belton Honeypath 43-10 winners over Lawrence. Easily a 41-14 winner against Southside. It's Powdersville defeating Wren 33-29.
I don't know who screwed that up earlier in the show.
Carolina a 21-6 winner over Berea. Blue Ridge 35-19 winners against Polk County out of North Carolina. It's Liberty 42-17 over Pickens.
Big win.
Seneca 47-0 winners against West Oak. It's Travelers Rest getting a big win 35-0 over Palmetto. Chesney 33-6 against Walhalla. AC Flora out of the Midland 41-6 over Southside Christian. Mountain View Prep in their first home game of the season last night, 66-27 winners over St. Joe's. It's York coming back and defeating Union County 27-20. Chase out of North Carolina that has an acronym as a school name, 28-20 winners over Blacksburg.
And Blacksburg came back late in that game, by the way, made a late push. That game was kind of out of hand, but all of a sudden Blacksburg charged back, just fell a little bit short.
Yeah. And Newberry 41-12 winners over Clinton.
Wow.
Big win for Newberry last night. Ware Shoals 20-12 winners over Landrum, and Abbeville a 23-15 win over Batesburg Leesville. And just so you know, Cole, Barrow, Alaska, they actually play today against Kodiak.
Somebody that just tuned in is thinking, what in the world are y'all talking about right
just now? So you are aware, the difference in
Did you say Kodiak? Isn't that a bear?
Kodiak, Alaska. And here's Barrow, Alaska. I know this is great radio.
Yeah,
for
you're
those.
showing me on the map, by
Here's
the way.
Barrow, Alaska. It's all the way very northern part of Alaska.
North Pole.
Here's Kodiak.
I'll tell you what, man, that's just too far. That's you have to get on a plane.
You try to get driving directions on Google
Japan's
Maps.
closer, I think.
It won't even tell you.
That's
so,
insane.
Yeah, there you go.
We were, for those wondering what we were talking about, they were showing some on the TV here that some high school football game in Alaska couldn't be played because it was in the
I think they have
night.
to play at noon today because of how cold it was.
Just so everything will, so it can get above 30, I guess, right?
20.
Yeah, hour number 2 of the show coming your way. It's going to be jam-packed just like hour number 1 was. We still have a few more guests. We want to hear from you as well. We're going to be joined by Jackson Free, quarterback of the Hillcrest Rams at 9:05. Quinn Hatfield, head football coach at Christchurch at 9:20. And we'll continue to talk about the games from last night as well as look ahead to what's happening in week 3 coming up right here on the Fan Upstate.
Welcome to the Saturday Morning Scramble. Scores, highlights.
Mike will be hot in 3 seconds. Mike is hot.
Powered by Founders Federal Credit Union, official credit union of the Saturday Morning Scramble, and your local Ingalls market.
It's the Saturday Morning Scramble on the Fan, Upstate.
Hour number 2 of the Saturday Morning Scramble is live. We're live at Ingalls Markets on Warren H. Abernathy Highway. It's the west side of Spartanburg. If you're around the area, want to stop in, talk a little high school football, we'd love to do so. Jersey Joe's on the phone lines. He wants to talk a little high school football. He was at the game last night. Jersey Joe, how are you? And what game were you at last night, man?
Good morning, Cole. Good morning, Alex. How you guys doing today?
Morning,
What up?
Morning, Joe.
I'm fantastic. Alex is he's
I'm here.
When Gaffney loses, Jersey Joe, I do ask Alex, hey, you want to do the show remote from home? You can if you want to. He's mean to me sometimes
No, I'm
after
not.
Gaffney loses.
Never.
Well, it was kind of like a little house divided last night, watching the Fountain Inn Malden game. My daughter, who's in 7th grade now, she'll be going to Fountain Inn here in a couple of years. And I had 2 boys play at Malden, so it was, like I said, it was like a house divided.
Seemed like a good game though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 10-0 at halftime, Fountain Inn. Back and forth the whole first half. Penalties definitely killed both teams in the first half. Whether it was holds or unsportsmanlike conducts or personal fouls, it was just back and forth. Like I said, 10-0 halftime, Fountain Inn. I think Andre Cook, he must have had a come to Jesus meeting with his team.
Yeah,
for the second half, because Malden just came out on fire in the second half.
Wow.
They got this one little running back, number 0 from Malden. I didn't catch his name, but he reminded me of Pacheco from Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Just explosive. I mean, cutting in and out. And then he got hurt there towards the end of the game, but he did come back in. He did go off the field, and they brought another guy in, and I thought this kid was Barry Sanders Jr. the way he moved. Yeah, they got some good running backs.
Yeah.
Like I was texting back and forth with Alex last night, telling him about the quarterback for Malden. He can also sling the ball.
Sure.
So he was dropping some dimes, but when he could. But the Fountain Inn defensive backs, they were like all over the receivers. Fountain Inn's got some real good defensive backs.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah.
Number 3, especially for Fountain Inn. But it came down to Greenville. I'm sorry, Greenville. Malden went up 21-16 with about less than 2 minutes to go. Fountain Inn got the ball back, came down the field. They got the ball down to the Malden 5-yard line with 14 seconds left. And he threw into coverage into 3 defenders on a Fountain Inn receiver, and the ball got picked off, and that was it right there.
Wow. See,
What a game.
Yeah, what a game.
I mean, just back and forth.
Hey, how impressed were you with Fountain Inn's quarterback, Sam Holliday?
He's good. I mean, he's a good scrambler.
Yeah.
He did make one mistake last night. He threw it the pick right to the. He just saw the Malden defensive back and threw it right to him. You know. But other than that, he's good. He's, like I said, a good scrambler. He's got a very unorthodox passing motion, but it's spot on hitting his receivers.
Wow, sounds like it, man. Appreciate the insight there, Jersey Joe.
Yeah, not a problem, guys. Not a problem.
See you, man. Appreciate the phone call as always.
Thanks, Joe.
Pretty good analysis. How about that?
Here's an actual text I got from Jersey Joe last night.
Okay.
Quote, Malden's got some beef on their O-line.
Yeah, they've got a lot of players.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they've got them in via transfers or just had some good classes coming up, but Andre Cook's got some good players in that program, man. And you talked about it. They're, 2-1 now?
Yeah, 2-1. And he was talking about that number 0 running back for Malden, Taurus Thomason. Had 122 rushing yards last night.
That's big.
So
that's big. And he was the one that got hurt.
Fan Upstate. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I believe he was the one that got hurt, right?
I believe that's what he said.
How about that, man? That's impressive. So, look, it's a big night.
Okay.
That was a game,
Yes,
Alex, that you
let
and
me put you on
I
hold because Cole has another
you and
interview
I
coming
talked
up.
about
if we just hold because he may
Malden
come to you
Fountain
concerning
Inn
the Dorman
potentially
game.
being a
You
really
said
good
Stephen
game. And
Webb.
it was. It really
Yep.
was a good game. I just
Okay.
wonder, though, what's
Well,
Malden
please
look
hold.
like 3 or 4 weeks from now? Go to their, I mean, the region play, obviously, it's a good thing they're not in the old region they
Yeah.
used to be in. But, I mean, look, what's the next few games for them look like?
Yeah, so they are off this next week. They start region play with Hillcrest in a couple of weeks, and then TL Hanna, Greenwood, Easley, Greenville, Woodmont, and J.O. Mann to end out the season. So, that's a tough region, but you mentioned it. It's not the black and blue region of old when they kind of got thrown in there with the Burns and the Dormans and Spartanburgs of the Upstate, but I don't know what I'm saying. But I mean, it's still a tough region for Andre Cook and company with the Hillcrest and TL Hanna after what TL Hanna was able to do last night against Westside. And then you talk about Greenwood with a big win over Dorman last night.
Sure.
So those next 3 games for Malden are really going to be the ones that I think, Cole, are going to be the ones that say, all right, this is the kind of team that you have.
Did you say Malden was on a bye this week
Malden's
as well?
on a bye this week as well.
I think
yeah.
with a half of the Upstate on a bye this week, it
Yeah,
seems
I think
like.
so. I think there's like 3 games to choose from.
Yeah, it might be. Now, let me ask you this. Say their next 3 one more time.
Hillcrest, at Hanna, Greenwood.
Wow, that's tough. That's a tough next 3 for Malden. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
And then Easley, Greenville, Woodmont, J.O. Mann.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I mean,
mean,
but you know what? The good thing is for those guys, you've got 2 wins. You've got some confidence. You beat Bowling Springs. You beat Fountain Inn. You had that 1 loss to start the
Riverside,
season,
yeah.
right, against Riverside. But, man, you play that game now, and who knows?
I was going to say that's kind of one that you look at it.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's incredible. So appreciate the insight there from Jersey Joe on Malden Fountain Inn last night. Anytime you folks out there listening or at a game want to talk about it, you can do so. But let's go back to the phone lines where we're going to be joined by Jackson Free, the quarterback of the Hillcrest Rams. A big win last night for Hillcrest. Jackson, how are you, man?
Good. How are you? How are you?
Doing fantastic. Appreciate you hopping on with us. Talk a little high school football this morning. A big win for you guys last night, 55-16 over Greer. What was it when you look at the totality of last night in your mind that allowed you guys to have such success?
Yeah, man. I mean, the environment was different. Coming off the loss last week, it was rough, and I don't think anyone wanted to feel like that again. So we had a good mentality coming into the week, and we just went out there and played our game, and it worked out for us.
Jackson, go back and talk about that a little bit. You just mentioned the loss last week. Your team didn't want to have that same feeling. We talk about it a lot, as people who are analyzing games and previewing games, what losses can do for a team. Talk about your locker room, the coaching staff. What was the message from your staff in terms of transitioning from last week's loss, what you did good, what you did bad, and how that loss can help a team like you guys?
Right. So we went over, the things we did wrong and stuff, but we were like, Coach Swag was like, all pains, not death.
Yeah.
So, even though we lost, we still got a whole season ahead of us, and the goal is not to go undefeated. The goal is to win state title. So that was just the right mindset to go into it, and I appreciate Coach Swag presenting it that way. So that was good for us, and the guys just came to work Monday. We had a great week of practice, and we got after it every day in the weight room and on the field, and it was a great week.
We're joined by Jackson Free, the quarterback over at Hillcrest, leading the Rams to a big win last night over Greer. When you come off of a loss, Jackson, is the quarterback signal caller. What's your role? Obviously, the team listens to the direction of Coach Swaggart, but what's your role as a leader on that team after a loss like that?
Right. I gotta keep a good attitude because I feel like people look to me. So I got to stay positive and just be encouraging to the team and just be uplifting and just making sure everybody knows that, we're good. We still got games to play, and, we're going to come back this week, and we're going to get back.
I hear you on that, especially after a loss like you guys had at Clover. I'm sure, Jackson, tell me if I'm wrong here, that you guys, after a game like that, when you have Greer this week, you're watching film on them, you're game planning, you're practicing, you probably are always excited. You always get up for a game, but after a loss, I'm sure you guys are itching even more to get back and get right?
Oh yeah. I was telling somebody, I was like, I hate losing and then having to wait a week. So I was real happy to get back out there and get a win under our belt and get back on track for sure.
9 of 14 last night, 2 touchdowns through the air, 4 carries, 81 yards, a touchdown on the ground as well for Jackson Free of Hillcrest. What was it last night, Jackson, when you looked at that Greer defense that allowed you in your mind to find success?
Yeah, so I busted out a big run early in the game, and then running back had a big run. But really, like, the stats say I did a lot, but I didn't really do too much passing. I threw it out there to a receiver on a screen pass, and he took it. He took about 55, 60 yards, and then I threw a little flat route for a touchdown. So I'm just proud of my guys going out there and competing and coming back and scoring some touchdowns for me to make me look good.
What's that help you do, though, as a quarterback, Jackson, when you have guys at running back and receiver that you can trust and you can just get the ball to? You know, you talk about those quick passes, and they do the work. Obviously, when you have to air it out, you can. But what's that do for the confidence for you as the quarterback in your position to be able to have that much talent around you go make plays like they did last night?
Man, it makes me I can just chill out back there and hand the ball off when I need to and throw it out wide when I need to, because I know I got guys out there that's going to make plays for me and just continue to compete no matter what type of game it is.
What do you feel like, Jackson? By the way, we're joined by Jackson Free, the quarterback of the Hillcrest Rams. What do you feel like this team in the first few weeks of the season has done well, but also on the flip side of that, what do you feel like you guys still need to be better at?
Right. I think we came together as a team well. I feel like last year we kind of got away from that, but I feel like this year we've came together as a team and just played together and not played for ourselves, which has resulted in good result. I know last week wasn't great, but I feel like still we have came together well and just played as a team. Yeah. And I feel like we can work on some of the like technical stuff, like knowing where to be sometimes, and even me, like just knowing my drop backs and knowing my coverages and stuff like that. Like I feel like we can work on some of that, but I feel like the big piece of it all we got to figure it out, and that's how to play as a team. And I'm just excited about this group and to be able to lead this group this year.
Jackson, last question for you. You know, I've watched you play a few times. You can throw the ball, obviously, but you have the ability to get out and run as well as you did last night a little bit. Is a quarterback, this is a question that just kind of comes from curiosity. As a quarterback, do you have to sometimes almost check yourself before you do take off and run? Sometimes with the coaches talk to you about maybe trying to get one more read or stay in the pocket a little bit longer, because I'm sure when you're as athletic as you are, your instinct is to take the ball and just get out of the pocket and get out of trouble. Sometimes do you feel like you have to remind yourself in the moment to maybe try to stay, not force a play, but try to stay and see if you can get one more read in?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I feel like I kind of struggled with that last week at Clover. I didn't sit in the pocket for long enough, for sure. But I felt good last night. I felt like I made the adjustment. So, yeah, I definitely have to take a second, because, like, I feel like I can beat people with my legs too. So, like, not staying in the pocket is easy for me. So, but, yeah, I try to take a second before I do run out and just go through one more read, like you just said, like one more progression.
Sure. Jackson, congratulations on the big win last night, man. As always, we appreciate your time, and best of luck the rest of the way. I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good day.
You too. Jackson Free, quarterback of the Hillcrest Rams, 9 of 14, 2 touchdowns, 4 carries, 81 yards and a touchdown, and a big win for Hillcrest last night. And I'm assuming they're on a bye too. Everybody's on a bye next week. Alex Guest,
everybody's on a bye.
It seems like there's no game.
See, there's
I'm staying that facetiously
there's
a little bit.
Like 21 games in our coverage area next week. You put that in perspective to 30 this week.
Sure. So Hillcrest, in terms of what their upcoming schedule looks like.
Hillcrest is on a bye, and then they are at Malden, at Greenwood, TL Hanna's their next 3 games.
Malden, Greenwood, Hanna, the next 3 for the Rams.
None of those are gimmies.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's going to be interesting to watch this team. I think as Jackson said, they've got some potential, man. If they can put it together, I think this team will continue to get better as the season goes on. Coach Swagger does a tremendous job at Hillcrest. So they're going to be fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
A team to keep your eye on, that's for sure. We'll take a break, come back. We'll continue the conversation. We've got Quinn Hatfield of Christchurch coming up in about 5 minutes on the program. They had a massive win last night on a walk-off field goal, per se. We'll get his reaction, thoughts as well, and continue the conversation right here on the Fan Upstate.
On the Fan, Upstate.
We're going to be joined by Quinn Hatfield of Christchurch here in just a few minutes on the show after their big win over Riverside last night. But first, let's go to the phone lines. We've got some callers stacked up. Steven, we go to first on the phone lines at 844-326-3663. What's up, Steven?
Hey, what's up, Cole? Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Appreciate you,
To
man.
this show, at least. Yes, sir. Hey, wanted to talk about that barn burner over in Roebuck, South Carolina, over at Dorman.
Yeah.
Man, listen, I called in last year and I talked to you about the discipline and all the flags that Dorman was getting and having 28 coaches on the sideline, and I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
They started it again this game, flags everywhere, 2 encroachments back-to-back. I mean, just discipline was really lacking again. And then second half, they cleaned it up. Everything was looking beautiful. And then in overtime, the discipline comes back to bite us in the butt again.
And Steven, let me ask you this:
what was your game?
What was it at the? Was it at the end of the? So I'll tell you this: pull the curtain back. I left when Dorman got the ball with what, a minute four? I mean, no time hardly on the clock. They had the ball in Greenwood territory, and then next thing I know, they've got 3 or 4 flags. They're backed up all the way to midfield or even further, right?
Exactly. Again, discipline. I don't understand. I mean, that is something, as Dabo would put it, day one.
Yeah.
Day one. We gotta clean that up. And to play off of that on the other side, Dabo was speaking about dudes being dudes.
Yeah.
That number 1 for Greenwood. He's a dude.
He's a dude.
He is a dude.
He was good, man. He can put that ball on the money.
Yes. Oh my God, he dropped some dimes out there that I was just like, wow. I think we'll be seeing him in the college ranks very soon.
He's coming to South Carolina.
And, yeah, I saw that, and I'm telling you, Pat, he's a dude.
He is.
I don't know what Clemson's doing and how they were sleeping on him when he was basically in their backyard, but
he's a good football player. Steven, thanks for the call, man.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you. He's right. Tristan Lewis, man, if you're a Gamecock fan, he's going to be really, really good, no doubt. Let's keep the conversation going. Tim wants to chime in on the conversation as well. What's up, Tim?
What's up, fellas?
Oh, Kev. I'm sorry, Kev. We were told it was Tim, so I apologize on that. Kev,
sorry.
How are you, man?
Chill out, man. I'm all right, man. I'm all right.
I know you're a big Chapman fan. I mean, are you okay this morning?
I'm all right. Hey man, we got boat race last night, man, and we got to take that on the chin and roll with it. But the biggest thing is, okay, we 0-3, but are we still brothers at the end when we get back to practice Monday? I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like when you go through that kind of stuff, if you've ever been through it, like I went through it early, like 10th, 11th grade, and it can break you or it can mold you to be better each week to still keep going.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest thing when you get down, and how some of these young kids are these days, they don't take that as, okay, we got to grind harder. Some of them, they like to tuck their tails. Some of them so you never know. You just got to make sure the positivity is still going on every day, and we still working to get what we need to get.
Kev, real quick, let me ask you this. I know you're a big Chapman guy. You were there last night at Bowling Springs. It is, and we talked about this earlier in the show. And you know, with every team throughout the course of the season, at some point you are who you are. With the injuries and the youth, do you feel like this Chapman team is who they are? Or do you feel like they truly can, turn the corner?
I feel like we can turn it and get better each week. Because right now, the injury bug does not listen, man, we got everybody on ice and IR right now. Everybody, man. Yeah. Like it's just one of them. Like every time somebody touches the field, somebody come off and can't go back on for the next few weeks or the end of the end of the year. Like it's just that type of thing right now.
Sure. And that, man, it doesn't help, does it? Doesn't help at all.
No, not at all. Not at all, man. Because you right now we down to the second line because we got 4 starters that's out.
Man.
So it's just an uphill climb. But I tell you what, you still put the football helmet on every day. You still put your pads on every day. You got to go to work.
You got to go to work, no doubt. Kev, thanks for the call, man. Always appreciate you. Good stuff there, talking about Chapman Bowling Springs last night. Appreciate the phone calls from you listeners out there. Let's go back to the phone lines now, where we're joined by the head football coach of the Christchurch Cavaliers, Coach Quinn Hatfield. A huge win last night. Coach, how are you, man?
Shoot, man. How you doing, Cole? Saturday morning's always better after a W, man.
It is. But let me tell you, I was keeping an eye on your game last night, Coach. And, man, you guys made that one dramatic, right? You get extra points for the drama and the field goal at the end.
Oh, it was an incredible football game. You know, I mean, how many times, and I was thinking the last 6 years since I've been there, that we've had games come down to the very last play, which it did. 35-yard game-winning field goals, time expired, and just back and forth, and it was a battle. Great football game.
Coach, shout your kicker out there. I mean, in the moment, 35 yards at the high school level, that's no gimme. I mean, talk about who it was, what your faith in him was, and if that's something that you trust him with pretty much all the time.
Yeah, it's Ryan Von Weil. He's a junior. He played varsity as a sophomore last year, but this is a kid that worked really hard in the weight room to get his legs stronger. He's played some safety for us here and there, but loves kicking. His dad was a kicker at Auburn. And he's actually our special teams coach, and he's been on our staff since I've been there. But nonetheless, Ryan, he's gotten better and better. And I went to him for the game. I said, "How you feeling?" And I haven't seen this from him this year. He said, "Coach, I feel really good." I said, "What's your yardage?" He said, "I'm 50 and in." I said, "Great." And I said, "All right, man, be ready, whatever." And then before the kick, we called a timeout, make sure we were set. But they called a timeout. I didn't say anything to him during our timeout, but then when they called a timeout, I went out there. Some of the guys was kind of sitting back. You know how them kickers are, man. And I just went over there and said, "Hey, look, this is what you prepared for." Nobody sees the Saturdays and Sundays. He's out on the field by himself kicking, and said, "This is what you prepared for. You're gonna nail it, man. Just hit it good, and let's win this thing." And I mean, he drilled it, man, right down Broadway.
37-35, Christchurch on top of Riverside last night. We're joined by Quinn Hatfield on the Saturday morning Scramble, head football coach at Christchurch. Coach, this was back and forth last night. Two good teams. Riverside obviously had a little bit of a lead. You guys able to punch your way back. Talk about just the punches thrown there in the middle of that game and the resilience of your team to just kind of hang in there and get it done in the end.
Yeah, we kind of talked about two things all week against them, physicality and endurance. And the endurance piece was, right there in the end, we had the ball last and found a way. But, man, we jumped up 13-0, but they kept answering back 13-7, and we got up 20-7, and they came back 20-14, scored with 6 seconds left in the first half. So it's kind of like that. We held the lead in for 47 minutes of the game. Riverside did not take the lead until they scored with 41 seconds. It was 34-33. They opted to go for two and got it in their best player's hands. It was really tough, and we had an opportunity to attack him in the backfield, and he broke a tackle, 2-point conversion. We got it with 41 seconds left and had a decent kickoff return, hit some short passes, and then hit a play up the sideline to set it up with 3 seconds left. But, you look at the stats, man, they ran 61 plays, ran 51. The turnover was a difference. We had one, they had two. First downs, we were 6 of 10. I think they were, 6 of 12 or something like that. I mean, it was just a really good football game and a heck of an ending.
Matchup-wise, Coach, when you were preparing for Riverside, looking at the film, putting in a game plan, where'd you feel like your team matched up in certain areas that obviously it was able to help you guys get the win last night? But talk about some of those games within the game.
Yeah, man. It's we play these guys every year for the last 4 years. So it's become, we call it a crosstown showdown. It's started to kind of become a rivalry. So we're familiar with them and what they do. And, for our offense, we thought we could establish a run. We really thought we could run the football, and we did that. Michael Martin had a really good game at running back. Our quarterback ran well. So we were able to move the ball, running the football, which opened up the pass. And then our defense, man, at Riverside is very athletic. They got a lot of speed. They got a really good quarterback. They put a lot of pressure on you as a defense. We really want to try to pressure the quarterback, and we did that. Got to him some, but he slipped out, made some huge plays, kept his eyes downfield. So that was kind of the matchups in the game. But we really felt good about our special teams. Obviously, won on a game-winning kick. We had 142 yards in kickoff return yards to give us some good field position. So, we put a lot of emphasis on that third phase and really thought our guys played well there.
You talked about the kicker coach, but some of the other guys that made big plays for you. You talked about the lead that you guys had as well. Who were some of the others for those who weren't at the game last night?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to our quarterback, making his third start as a varsity player at quarterback, Judd Wyndham. Man, he was 14 of 16 last night for 160-something yards. And then also ran it a few times. Mike Martin had a good game, 3 touchdowns. But our guys up front really paved the way. And I'll start shouting them out. They get upset if I don't call them out. But the Hogs up front, and then defensively, and Hayes Lyman, he doesn't get a lot of shout outs. He plays slot receiver for us, kick return, and corner. And that dude played his tail off last night. Made that big catch with 3 seconds left down the sideline. George Michael Sathakis at defensive end. Banks Horton at middle linebacker, Blake Reed Hip on defense. Them guys were, they were swarming. So, and then Judd Wyndham kicking it off too. I mean, I think he kicked it deep, had a couple of touchbacks. So all that, the game went into game, setting up field position, and guys making plays.
No doubt, Coach. When you look at the totality, it's only been a short season. What do you like? What do you also feel like this team needs to get better at?
Yeah, I just like I like the spark, the fire that this team has, the camaraderie. It's a real fun group to be around. Very resilient group. What we've seen from some early season adversity, bouncing back from opening loss that we didn't like. We didn't anticipate that, but we bounced back. And I like the way we fought last night. We didn't flinch when we got down. 41 seconds, got the ball back. So I like a lot of that. We can build on that, and we got to tackle better. We got to continue to get better offensively at what we're doing, and just keep getting guys reps. I mean, Cole, we play with 30 guys, man. And that's what we got. And so, when a guy's been out, which we had a few guys out here and there, it's sort of a compounding effect. And so, continuing to help these guys get better and hone in on their assignments. And like I said, it's early in the season, but we've had some tough competition between Hammond and now Riverside that we can really build on. We got an open week coming up, which is kind of a gift and an opportunity to, get some stuff tightened up and, get ready for the next few games for region play.
What is that? You led me into my last question for you. You talked about that bye week before Chapman. What does that bye week look like when you talk about having to play with 30 guys going both ways? I'm sure it's a good break to kind of heal up as well. What is the game plan for that bye look like? Do you take it a little bit lighter?
Yes, you do. At least we will. I think, you like you said, guys got to heal up a little bit. So it'll be heavy fundamentals this week. We'll start, we'll watch a lot of film, correcting some things, and they'll certainly start preparing for the next opponent. But it'll be heavy fundamental focus, a lot of tackling drills, probably not a ton of hitting each other this week, just like you said, trying to get everybody healed up and getting ready for Chapman.
Well, Coach, as always, congratulations on the big win, man. We appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, thanks for having me. Go Cavs.
Absolutely. Quinn Hatfield of Christchurch. Alex, a big win for those guys, and he mentioned it. We talked about it. The bye week, as it seems again, as everybody has a bye week next week before they play Chapman, and then is it Hampton?
Hampton County,
Hampton County to round out non-region. St. Joe's starting it off with region play.
Yes,
for Christchurch.
St. Joe's, Powdersville, Carolina, Southside Christian, Palmetto.
And that's interesting, man. I mean, you look at that schedule for Christchurch. I mean, they've had a good test with Riverside. I don't know much about Hampton County, but that they're starting region playoff with a bang. I mean, you get St. Joseph's, and then you also the very next week get Powdersville, who just beat Wren last night. And man, we touched on it.
Powdersville did beat Wren.
I know.
Yes.
I don't know. Again, I don't know who screwed that up in the very first segment of the show, but we touched on that game. Hadn't really had time to talk about it. This is a Powdersville team that we talk about it all the time. Robert Muster, schedule's tough. First 2 weeks, lost the opener, bounces back with a win over Abbeville last Friday, Alex. And then this week, last night, man, I saw some pictures and video from that big rivalry game. Those two schools, was it Anthony Freight that told us a couple of weeks ago Wren broke off from Powdersville?
Powdersville broke off from Wren.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a big rivalry there. Those schools are like 7 or 8 miles apart. Yeah. And, man, that game, you want to win it, but you look at the outcome of that game last night between Powdersville and Wren, and you feel like even though the Bryn Hurricanes are on the losing side.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those teams are set up to make a run. That's two really good football teams.
Yeah, that's one of those games last night where it's like, man, you wish both teams could win, the way that game ended and played out. But, yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, 33-29 win for Powdersville, a huge turnaround for Powdersville, after the week 0 loss, which we talked about it in week 0 during the week 0 show about how it seems like every year Robert Mustard just scheduling these very tough opponents to start the season. And, that's what gets you ready for that region play when you have the likes of Southside Christian, Christchurch, Palmetto, St. Joe's in there. So, I mean, 36-22 last week over Abbeville, which was Abbeville's, I think we figured it out, only their 7th regular season loss in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And then 33-29 over Wren last night. Pretty good
No doubt.
couple of weeks for Powdersville.
Want to say thanks to Scoot Watson of Greenville, Aiden Gibson of Woodruff, Jackson Free, the quarterback at Hillcrest, and Quinn Hatfield for joining us on the show this morning. We'll take our final break, come back, we'll hit the scores from last night one more time, and then we will look ahead to week 3. Is that right?
Week 3. Yeah.
I always get confused because it's the 4th game, but it is week 3. We'll take a look at what's happening next Friday night right here in the Upstate on the Fan Upstate.
Clear. Mike will be hot in 3 seconds.
And your local
Mike is hot.
This is the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Streaming everywhere on the Odyssey app.
Man, what a jam-packed show we've had today. Appreciate you listening as we always do. Don't say it enough, but also want to say want to give a big shout out, a big thanks to Ingalls Markets as well as Founders Federal Credit Union. Ingalls is where we are at 8004 Warren H. Abernathy Highway in Spartanburg. Also, big thanks to Founders Federal Credit Union. Without them, we wouldn't be able to make the Saturday morning scramble a possibility. So make sure you visit your local Ingalls. Also, become a member at Founders as well. I'm one, you should be too. Alex,
question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
What are you going to do next week? You going to like roll out of bed and just walk across the street?
Next week, why?
Next Saturday.
No, I hadn't looked. Are we?
Yeah.
Are we back over my?
We are
neck of the woods?
Highway 9 next week.
Ooh, we're at the.
You literally can wake up at like 7:50.
That'd be cutting it
and
close,
walk
though.
across the street.
So we're at the the address is 4600 South Carolina 9, which is number 9, Inman, South Carolina. It's the Ingalls closest toward Lake Bowen. That will be the first time you've seen the new renovated
It
Ingalls.
will be, yeah.
It's nice,
Yeah.
man.
I've not been
It's
there yet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you know one of my favorite things in the world is like going to Chipotle and getting like the bowl, the rice, the steak, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That Ingalls has that. Build your own, but it's so good. It's the best. It's the best.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you're fine.
yeah.
You're fine. I love talking about Ingalls. They are the best. We appreciate Melissa and her team as always. All right, week 3 is approaching rapidly, Alex Guest. Let's take a look at the games happening this Friday night, putting a bow on today's show. What stands out to you? What games, when you look at this schedule? I mean, I'm looking right now, as we've mentioned already, a lot of teams with a bye week. It feels like a lot. And you said it, there are 23 games happening Friday night.
23 if you include our Skiza friends, which it's always difficult to get Skiza scores. But 21 high school league games.
Gotcha. 21 high school league games. 96 Abbeville in 1A. That's a big one. Landrum is back at home hosting Asheville Christian. Chesney is hosting RS Central. In 2A, Union County hosting Blacksburg. How big is that one? Because Blacksburg, last night they fall short, obviously, to Chase. They came back and made a really late push in that football game last night, though. And Union County, how well they played. Look, I know they don't do moral victories, but they played really good against York last night. That's a both teams need it kind of game.
Yeah, and look, both of those teams lost basically by identical scores last night. York 27-20 over Union County, Chase 28-20 over Blacksburg. But I mean, that's a big both teams really just need a win
need it
before heading into the rest of the season.
The Clinton Red Devils, coming off of a loss last night, will be back at home hosting Chapman. Again, we mentioned it. We talked about it earlier. Kev called in. Chapman 0-3, looking for the first win. So many injuries have plagued them, Alex. And then to make matters worse, you've got to go on the road, not only playing Clinton, but playing a Clinton team that just came off of a loss. So that's going to be a tough test for Chapman. Liberty Palmetto on Friday night. West Oak hosting Franklin County, Georgia.
Okay.
Never heard. I mean, I heard of them, but I don't know anything about them. Not going to lie to you. Pendleton, Powdersville, sneaky good game Friday.
Sneaky game, yeah, absolutely.
How about Woodmont last night? You and I picked differently on this. I changed my pick yesterday morning and ended up taking Powdersville over Pendleton.
Yeah.
That was a really good football game. Powdersville came out on top, but then Powdersville on the road this Friday at Pendleton could be a really good football game.
Yeah, you picked Woodmont last night over Pendleton.
I'm sorry.
Not Powdersville over Pendleton.
I'm
Powdersville beat Wren.
Struggling with my words, aren't I?
Yeah.
These spreadsheets do
You're
it to me.
confusing.
These spreadsheets just kill me. Let me
But-
start over. Let's try that again.
Okay.
So, Powdersville beat Wren last night,
Yes.
as we know, right?
Yep.
And then Pendleton
lost
to
to
Woodmont
Woodmont,
last
yep.
night. I picked Pendleton earlier in the week.
Yep.
Changed it to Powdersville.
Why didn't you tell me?
Because I didn't want to lead
changed
you.
to Woodmont.
I cannot get this right.
Go
can
home.
I need to
Go-
call
home.
the show off. I changed it to Woodmont, and Woodmont ended up beating Pendleton last night.
Yes. There we go.
Man, those
got it.
games are confusing me
Yeah,
this morning,
you
aren't
got
they?
it.
They really are. Crescent hosting Mountain View Prep next Friday night. Seneca Wahala going to battle. St. Joe's hosting Pickens. Good game right here. How about this one? Westside coming off of a loss to T.L. Hanna last night on the road at BHP. This could be a good game. How does this younger Westside team, who lost a lot of guys to graduation, obviously, how do they respond going against the Belton Honeypath team, who Belton Honeypath one loss team, no loss team?
One loss team.
One
I
loss
think,
team.
Yeah.
Really good BHP team. Westside just, they obviously, graduation
No,
got them.
I'm sorry. BHP is undefeated.
Undefeated.
What am I talking about?
Undefeated. 3-0 to start the season. Graduation obviously got Westside a little bit. Last night was shocking to me, seeing them lose to Hannah. Brian Lane's a good coach. But obviously when you lose the guys that they've lost over the last 2 years, you're going to take a little bit of a step back. And I think that team will continue to get better. Broome hosting Emerald, a tough one because you talk about a Broome team, right, who is shown flashes this season of being really good.
Yeah.
Emerald last night, what Emerald was able to do in that first half, we talked about it. They were up 22-0.
22-0,
on Woodruff.
Yep.
This could be a really good game. Emerald at Broome on Friday.
Yeah, it could be a really interesting game. I mean, obviously, Broome kind of down in the tough, down in the dumps a little bit right now. But,
1-2, right, Broome?
1-2, yeah. But, I mean, a big win last week for Broome, obviously, coming off that big win. Was it Chesney?
Chesney.
Chesney?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's who they beat
Okay.
last week. You're right about that. How about this one? Burns on the road at Greer. And look, this is a rivalry game between the two programs. To make matters worse, Alex, Burns trying to get revenge. You remember a season ago, Greer won this football game. And that made that started the 0-3 stretch, right? Burns started the season 0-3 a season ago against the Yellow Jackets. Greer won that game. It's at Greer again. Burns was technically the home team a year ago, but Burns-Greer, doesn't matter how both programs are, that's a big rivalry game. You know a lot about that one, and that one's going to be good Friday. It's like I tell people with our region. It doesn't matter how good, what the records are. Both of those teams get up for that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Burns is that team that everybody wants to be, obviously, because of what Burns has been and what Burns can continue to be. But especially with Greer, I mean, Greer, I think, has only beaten Burns, maybe like 4 or 5 times ever. Not many times. But Greer, they get up for that game, and they are going to give Burns their all, regardless. You know, they know that they can beat Burns, especially the guys that are on this team know that they can beat Burns because of what they were able to do last year in beating Burns. But it's going to take a little bit of work to be able to do it. I think this year, I think Burns is much improved. Obviously, they don't have the awful having to go on the road every single week that they had last year and that kind of thing. But this ought to be a good game, and I expect Dooley Field to be packed.
Should be. Lexington with a tough one this Friday night. They're making the trip to Greenwood, first-year head coach, obviously, at Lexington. And this is going to be a tough test. I didn't get to talk about it a ton, Alex, but Stephen Webb mentioned it earlier when he called in the show. That Dorman Greenwood last night, that game last night was phenomenal. First of all, hat tip to Greenwood. They made plays down the stretch to win that football game. But, man, I will tell you this. We left the game, and Dorman had the ball and the lead with under under 2 minutes to play. And Stephen Webb talked about the penalties, the self-inflicting wounds, if you will, that cost Dorman that game in my mind. And I'll just tell you, Dorman's a good football team. They can run the ball. Nick Means is as good as a running back as any of them right now in the Upstate. That kid's phenomenal, and they're going to have he's already had a fantastic start of the season. His stats are unbelievable. He's going to continue to have a great year. Dorman runs the ball. That's what they want to do. That's their identity. Jason Farmer wants to ground and pound that football, and they did last night. Greenwood, they have a guy at quarterback, number 1, Tristan Lewis, who's committed to South Carolina. And I'll tell you what, man, that kid last night impressed the heck out of me. That guy is really, really good. South Carolina fans should be excited. They've recruited him as a safety. Interesting thing is he's never played safety. at the high school level. He's played quarterback for Greenwood, but Coach Liner's done a tremendous job. The way that Greenwood last night showed the resilience to come back, win that game. They get the ball back inside their own 20 with less than a minute to go, drive down the field, score a touchdown, go for 2 to tie it.
Wow.
Tristan Lewis dives at the pylon to tie the football game, sends it to overtime. Greenwood gets the ball in overtime, scores right off the bat from the 10-yard line. You know, Tristan Lewis from the 10 is deadly. Dorman gets the ball. They score. PAT, no good.
Wow.
PAT, no good. And that's how Greenwood got the win last night. Incredible game. Like I said, we left with 2 minutes or so on the clock when the entire stadium emptied out. Everybody thought that football game was over.
Yeah.
Dorman literally had to pick up a first down and it was over. But they just, you heard the beep, beep, the self-inflicting penalties that were going the wrong way.
Yeah.
And ultimately that cost them the game. I will tell you this, they also had an opportunity. It was like 4th and 2, a little bit earlier in the fourth quarter, with a chance to pick up that 4th down and pretty much win the game. They decide to punt. And I thought that was a big turning point as well. I thought that was an opportunity where Dorman could have maybe put the game away. But Tristan Lewis for Greenwood's a dude. He's phenomenal. One of the best players I've seen in a long, long time. A really good football team. And they have Lexington on Friday night. TL Hannah Wren, Woodruff Woodmont. We mentioned Burns Greer, East Sides at Blue Ridge Friday, Emerald at Broome, Fountain Inn at Carolina, AC Flora at Lawrence, West Side at BHP, Pickens at St. Joe's, and a lot more to get to. We'll break them down next Saturday on the Fan Upstate, 8 to 10 a.m. Alex Guest, appreciate you as always. Want to say thanks to John back in the Ingalls Market Studios. Thanks, John, as always. And for the coaches and players we had on this morning, they were fantastic as always. We'll see you next Saturday right here on the Fan Upstate.